Good morning, students. So let us discuss about today the first unit in the botany, first chapter, the living world. So let us know that about uh, what is living. What is a living? So living we can only understand when a organism uh, exhibit particular properties like growth, particular properties like growth, reproduction, and other excretion, irritability, and irritability means ability to sense to environment, ability to sense environment. So that is called irritability. Irritability means the ability of an organism to respond to external environmental stimuli, which means whatever happens in environment, organism should respond. That is called irritability. So that such type of responses, those who exhibit, then that is called living. So here um, another metabolism is there. So any living being can exhibit metabolism. So here metabolism generally two types: anabolism and catabolism. Means preparation of food material and a breakdown of the food material, synthesis and analysis. So in our body or any living being, both process are takes place, that is synthesis and analysis. Next here, ability to replicate, ability to replicate, self replicate. Means for example, when you take amoeba, main euglena, paramecium, and some of the other fungi and other algae, they can replicate, means multiply the bacteria. When you take self organize, so here they themselves should organize their body, they themselves they compose their bodies. In this way each organism can exhibit a growth, reproduction, ability to sense, that is irritability, and exhibit metabolisms and ability to self replicate and self organize. So these properties, if um, making that to organism as a living condition, then only we can understand. So just only what is living means we can understand, we cannot define particularly. How we can understand means by the following properties. Whatever properties means here: growth, reproduction, ability to send environment, metabolism, ability to help replicate. So here there is a question is there: all living organisms grow. Yes, this is the one of the most fundamental property. All living organisms exhibit growth. So here in this way there will be two properties regarding to the growth. There will be mass is increases and number of individuals are twin characteristics of the growth. So here regarding to the growth, there will be two characteristics you have to remember. One is mass, means increasing weight. Another one is increasing the number. So for example, when we take a human being, when we are born at when our life started, we started with a single cell, that is zygote. At the time the mass is said to be very low, and when the single cell, that is zygote, undergo replicated, produce many number of cells. So yes, mass is increasing, number of cells also increasing, so it is termed as a growth. So we can say that growth is occurred. So and form finally a multicellular organism. So here mainly growth is occurred by the division of cells, so that it is cell division continuously throughout their life. But here growth is limited in animals and human being, but whereas in plants growth is continuous. So in animals the growth is seen only up to a certain age. So when you take that, mainly uh, when you take about certain human being and other animals, growth is limited. So only cell division is occurred in certain tissues to replace lost cells. So unicellular organisms grow by cell division. Just now I said the single cellular organisms like Euglena, Paramecium, amoeba, they mainly undergo and produce number of copies by the cell division only. So some of the cells are cultured by in vitro, means inside the test tube by culture simple counting number of cells undergo microscope. So tissue culture in this mainly. So some of the cells kept in a test tube, and when we provide all the nutrients, the single cell or tissue grow into a more number of cells or more tissues, then convert into a complete organism. So here mainly uh, what are the most important characteristics when you take here? Reproduction is a characteristics of living organism. So it is very very important, reproduction. Why? Because it is the uh, perpetuation of its race, perpetuation of its race. So now what is the reproduction? Reproduction is, it is seems to be, it is a ability means must have the capacity to give rise to new generation of individuals. So here reproduction is refers to production of progeny possessing future more or less similar to those of parents. Here increasing its number by this process, either having more or less similar characteristics. So this is a reproduction, reproduce. So it is the perpetuation of its race, means it multiplies the its race. So here reproduction is generally we can see the two types: sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the at present means it is the uh, advanced reproduction. Why? Because in these days mainly sexual reproduction is going on. In previous means primitive asexual reproduction is oftenly occurred. So organisms are reproduced by asexual means also, but asexual reproduction is takes place at present less, whereas sexual reproduction takes place in more. So mainly when you take the lower organisms, fungi spread easily due to the millions of asexual spores. So lower organisms like fungi and other lower algae and other organisms, they can reproduce by the asexual reproduction. Why? Because in asexual reproduction within short period more number of spores, more number of organisms are developed. So when you take the lower organisms like yeast mainly already in 10th class we studied it reproduced by the buds, budding. Hydra also by the budding. So here given example, budding. So hydra and yeast. So yeast belongs to fungi, hydra belongs to ciliarate, and both reproduce oftenly by the budding. So budding is a asexual reproduction by which they forms on their surfaces small buds. When the buds they mature, what happens? They may fall off and grows individual yeast and hydra. Let us take planaria. Planaria, it belongs to platforms, means platyhelminthes, non-vertebrates. We observe in this true regeneration. True regeneration means whatever lost its spots, whatever lost its spots, again it will be developed. For example, tail, middle piece, head. If it is lost, again it develop. For example, the planaria head is lost, again it will develop. If the planaria is lost middle piece, it develops the middle piece. If the planaria is lost tail, again it will be developed. So it is the most best example for true to regeneration. So regeneration means what? Whatever the part which is lost by organisms, again it will be regenerate, redevelop. So reproduction, the last part, the reproduction process is called what? ఆ, కోల్పోయినటువంటి భాగాన్ని తిరిగి పొందడమే దాన్ని ఏమంటామంటే రీజనరేషన్ అంటాము. ప్లానేరియాలో ఇది నిజమైనటువంటి రీజనరేషన్ ఉంటుంది. So that is a fragmented organism regenerates the last part its body and becomes a new organism. So the fungi, mainly filamentous algae and the protonema mosses, all easily multiply the fragmentation. So now I will explain what is fragmentation. So fragmentation is a sexual reproduction process in which any part of the fungi or branches, they may fall off and again germinate into a new individuals and a new complete body. So the small part of that main organism is fall off onto the soil. Whenever favorable conditions, it will be developed into a new organism, that is called fragmentation. So fragment means a piece, a part of the parent one, it be fall off and during favorable conditions developed into a new organism, that is called fragmentation. So when you take about uh, black bacteria, unicellular organisms, algae, amoeba, and so increasing their number, mainly here binary fission. Binary fission. So binary fission is one of the most important asexual reproduction. Why? Because one single organism undergo division and produces two daughter equal cells. So that is called binary fission. Binary means two. So here what happened? One single parent undergo division and produces two kinds of two equal daughter cells. That is called binary fission. It is followed by the mainly bacteria and paramecium. So next here let us when you think of it, reproduction, regarding to some of the organisms cannot reproduce. Mules means Kanchargadada, sterile worker bees means worker bees, and infertile human couples. And generally those persons do not have capacity to give rise, though in those organisms reproduction will not takes place. So that here reproduction also cannot be an inclusive defining all inclusive defining characteristics of living being, of course. So no non-living objects cannot replicate by itself. సో నాన్ లివింగ్ థింగ్స్లో మరియు మ్యూల్స్, స్టెరైల్ వర్కర్ బీస్, ఇన్ఫర్టైల్ హ్యూమన్స్లో రిప్రొడక్షన్ అనేది జరగదు. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు కీప్ ఇన్ యువర్ మైండ్. సో అనదర్ క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ ఆఫ్ లైఫ్ ఈజ్ మెటబాలిజం. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ already you heard this word metabolism. Metabolism is the process of synthesis and analysis of food material is called metabolism. This metabolism is exhibited by all the living being. Mainly we know that all organisms are made up of chemicals, and these chemicals are small and big, belonging to various classes, size, functions. They have to break down to utilize. So whatever we take in the food material, in that chemicals are present. These chemical substances, either they are small and big, so they have different functions, so that they must be completely the breakdown and the synthesis. So they are nothing but biomolecules. So these conversions are chemical reactions, metabolic reactions. So there are thousands of metabolic reactions occur simultaneously inside the body of a organism. So variety kind of metabolism reactions are occurred in a living being. So when you take all plants and animals, fungi, microbes exhibit metabolism. So this metabolism process is exhibited by the all kinds of living being, and no non-living objects exhibit metabolism. This is most important property. Non-living things cannot exhibit this property. So next, another important one, um, here, consciousness. Consciousness. Consciousness nothing but awareing of వాట్ ఎవర్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ ఇన్ అవర్ సరౌండింగ్. మన చుట్టూ జరిగేటువంటి సంఘటనలను మనం గుర్తుకు తెచ్చుకోవడం, గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవడం మరియు గుర్తించడం, దీన్ని ఏమంటామంటే కాన్షియస్నెస్ అంటాం. అవేర్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ సరౌండింగ్. అవేర్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ సరౌండింగ్. ఇక్కడ హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్ మాత్రమే ఈజ్ నో himself. For example, whenever lion is coming towards him, he may aware of and he may run away from that lion. For example, whatever enemy is coming towards him, he may aware and he may far away from that places. Only human being have this type of self consciousness. So here self consciousness means knowing whatever happening, himself, aware of himself. Whereas when you take another word, that is unconsciousness and consciousness. So consciousness means తెలుసుకోవడం, unconsciousness means తెలియకపోవడము, self consciousness means తన గురించి తాను. So there will be a 3 terms are there: consciousness, unconsciousness, self-consciousness. So here let us take about diversity in next, another important, self-regulating, self-replicating, self-regulating, evolving. So all the living organisms, they have interactive systems capable of responding external stimuli. This is called irritability, already I said. Self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating and interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli, it is called irritability. Irritability means ప్రకృతిలో జరిగేటువంటి ఏదైనా సంఘటనని తను రెస్పాండ్ కావడం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, చలికి వణకడం, ఎనిమి వస్తున్నప్పుడు, అంటే జనరల్గా ఎండకు స్వెట్టింగ్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఏంటిది అంటే ఇరిటబిలిటీ అన్నమాట. సో ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఇరిటబిలిటీ ఎవరికి ఉంటుంది అంటే లివింగ్ బీయింగ్ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేస్తే. నెక్స్ట్, డైవర్సిటీ ఇన్ ద లివింగ్ వరల్డ్. In first chapter, this is others, diversity in the living world. So here variety, so keep in your mind here, a large variety kind of organisms, a large variety of living organisms present in this universe, like paddle plant, insects, birds, pets, animals and human being, other organisms. So these are the variety kind of organisms. These when you visit a zoological park, when you visit a garden, and you can see that variety kind of organisms. So in this universe, so variety kind of organisms are there. So animals, the number of species that are known till today totally 1.7 to 1 million. So this refers to biodiversity, which means in this universe having of variety kind of organisms is known as biodiversity. Bio means life, diversity means different kind. So having of different kind of organisms in this universe is termed as biodiversity. The number and types of organisms present on the earth. We should remember here that as we explore now new areas and old one, new organisms are continuously being identified. So continuously in this universe, old organisms and they are dying, and new variety kind of organisms are being identified. So here uh, when when organisms are increasing, so here well we are identifying organisms. So if you not keep a name, it will be very confusion. So that here whatever identified the particular new organism, scientists may give the name to that one. Giving of name to that newly identified the organism, it is called a nomenclature. Nomenclature is nothing but naming whatever newly identified organism. To that one we have to give the name. So giving of name to the newly identified one organism is called nomenclature. So next here, identification. First of all here, either the organism is pre-existed or new, and recognizing that is called identification. So uh, so mainly when the nomenclature, how the nomenclature after identification, and how the classification, and all these processes are under the by ICBN. So by the following ICBN, it is most important in examination level. What is the abbreviation of ICBN? Where it is located? There is a question. So ICBN means International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. International Botanical Nomenclature. You may ask, how are animals named? Animal taxonomy. So plants are named. So mainly biologists, each name has two components. So when you take the organism name, it has two components in it. One is the generic name, another one is the specific epithet. So when you take scientific name, Azadirachta indica. Azadirachta indica is the scientific name of neem tree. But here the generic name is Azadirachta. Specific epithet is indica. So this system is providing a name with two components is termed as binomial nomenclature. Bi means two. Nomen means name. So each organism having a two names, two components in it. One is generic and another one is specific. So the system of providing a name with two component is called binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature. So this is a naming system given by Carolus Linnaeus. Who proposed binomial nomenclature? Carolus Linnaeus is the father of modern taxonomist. Is the father of modern taxonomist. So it is a two-word format and was found conveniently. And let us take the mango to understand example, the way of how the binomial nomenclature is. Providing scientific name is better. So why scientists are providing scientific names means because of we won't be confused. So here the scientific name of mango is written as Mangifera indica. Here see that when we these letters, when just slant are there, not bold. Here these letters. When you take the M, it is a capital one of in generic name. When you take the species, the first letter is indica, I is the small letter. So the scientific name of mango is Mangifera indica. So it is one of the most important fruit in our India. It is called the fried fruit of India. The king of the fruit, it is termed in our India. ఫలాలకు రాజుగా మనం దీన్ని పిలుస్తుంటాము. సో because of mostly used and mostly preferable, and so that the Mangifera indica, it is the fried fruit of India. The mango scientific name is Mangifera indica. Let us go that how the binomial nomenclature have the characteristic feature. So here the Mangifera is indicates that the genus, while indica is the particular species. Indica is the particular species. Specific epithet. So whenever we are giving these two components to a particular scientific name to the plant or animal, the universal rules we have to follow for nomenclature. అంటే మనం ఏదైనా ఒక జీవికి సైంటిఫిక్ నేమ్ ఇచ్చేటప్పుడు ఖచ్చితంగా మనం రూల్స్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు ఫాలో దట్, సమ్ అదర్ యూనివర్సల్ రూల్స్. సో హియర్ దేర్ విల్ బి 4 rules are there. The first one is the biological names are generally in Latin. This is important. Whatever the scientific names or the biological names, they must be in Latin. In Latin. Written in italics. Written in italic. Italics means just a slant. Here we see that just a slant. So they are the Latinized, derived from the Latin irrespective of their origin. So the first point is indicate that the scientific name must be Latin. They are written in italics. These two words you have to remember. Why? Because it is a 4 marks question in examination level. And let us the second one. The first word in biological name is represent the genus. So when you take the scientific name Mangifera, it is a genus. The second component is denotes that specific epithet or species. So the second sentence what it indicate, the scientific name, the first word have genus, second word have specific epithet. So when you go to the third point, so the third point are both the words in a biological name when handwritten are separately underlined and printed in italics to indicate there. So whatever the scientific names, they must be whenever we are handwritten, they are must be underlined. It is most important, underlined. Scientific names must be underlined. Next, fourth point, the first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter while the specific epithet starts with a small. So when you take here Mangifera indica, the first letter M, it is the capital in a genus. Indica, in which I is the small letter. So in genus the first letter is capital, in species the first letter is small. In this way, while giving name, they may follow these rules. So it is the nomenclature characteristic feature we have to follow whenever we are giving name to the plant. So name of the authors appear after the specific epithet. For example, uh, if any scientist want to keep his name, whatever identified that plant, he must add his name in a short form at the end of the scientific name. For example, here Mangifera indica Lin means this plant was identified by the Linnaeus and given name was by Linnaeus. Hence, he abbreviated his name and kept it last as a suffix Lin. Lin means Linnaeus. So the species was first described by the Linnaeus. It indicates that the species was described by the Linnaeus. So here, after following the nomenclature, if you not separated the plants, so it will be ambiguous, confused. So after giving name, we must classify the plants. So classification is the process by which anything is grouped into a convenient categories. So this is most important. So for example, like more number of plants are there, but which plants are having seeds, dicot seeds, monocot seeds. So when we kept total all these in one group, we will be confused which one which plant seed have dicots and which plant seeds have monocots, so that we have to classify them easily. Like those seeds having two cots, they are called dicotyledons. Those seeds have only one single cot, they are called monocots, like this. So classification makes clarity. Classification makes clarity. We can easily for example, we easily recognize the groups such as plants and animals, dogs, cats, insects. So in this way, in this universe, we have variety kind of organisms, so that which is plant, which is animal, which is dog, which is cat, which is insect. So that when we classify, then we can get clarity about these are the dogs, these are the cats, these are the insects, these are the plants, these are the animals. So one thing you have to remember, classification makes clarity. So the moment we use any of these terms, we associate certain characteristics with the organism mainly. So mammals means human being, and like this wheat, it is a plant. So like this here, dogs, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals are convenient categories we use to study organisms. The scientific term for these categories are taxa. This is important. So when we classify each group, so cats are separated, mammals are separated, wheat plants, rice plants, and other plants and animals. Like this, each group having the same type, it is termed as a taxa. So here, plants also form a taxa, animals also taxa, wheat is also taxa, animals also taxa, mammals also taxa, dogs are also taxa. But you know that a dog is a mammal and mammals are animals. So therefore, animals, mammals, and dogs are different as a taxa at a different levels. So when you take the all taxas into consideration, like animals, mammals, and dogs, so they are the levels at different taxonomic levels. So hence, based on the characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxas. This process of classification is called taxonomy. Taxonomy. So taxonomy, it is also called systematic botany. So in this mainly is a branch of botany in which we can identify nomenclature, classification, and characteristics. So any group of organism in taxonomy, we can give the we can identify, we can give the name, and we can classify, and we can characterize. These four aspects we can see in taxonomy. So taxonomy is nothing but it is a branch of botany in which It is also called systematic botany, in which we can study that about identification, nomenclature, classification, and characterization. So here they given about systematics. Already I said the word systematics is important. It is a branch of botany referred to as a. The word systematics is derived from the Latin word which means systema. Systema means systematic arrangement of organism. So keeping different taxa in different levels, it is called systematic. So this systematic used Systema Naturae as the title of his publication. So Linnaeus is written books from the one of the book is Systema Naturae. About it describes systematics botany. The scope of systematic was later enlarged include identification, nomenclature, classification, and characterization. Mainly, it takes into evolutionary and a relationship between organisms. Let us discuss about taxonomic categories. It is most important in examination level. So here category is nothing but a rank. So taxon, just now I said, taxon is taxa. For example, dogs one taxa, mammals one taxa, and insects like cats, they are each one is term one taxa. But here let us taxonomic categories. Taxonomic categories. Each taxa together when we made particular arrangement, that is uh, it is called a taxonomic category. All categories together form a taxonomic hierarchy. Taxonomic hierarchy. Each category is referred to as a unit of classification. In fact, represents a rank and is commonly referred as a taxon. Taxonomic categories and hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Let us, when you take insects, represents a group of organisms sharing common features like all insects having the common characteristics, having three pairs of jointed legs. So here, insects belongs to one taxa. Because of all have the similar and characteristic feature, having three pairs of jointed legs. So insects are recognizable concrete objects which can be classified. Thus we are given a rank or category. So then we given a particular category. So taxon or each taxon or rank, in fact, it represents a unit of classification. For example, when you take insects, it is termed as a taxon. So it is the one unit of classification. All the all these taxons are taxonomic groups, are distinct biological entities, but not morphological entities, aggregates. So now when we go to that about taxonomical studies of all known organisms have led to the development of the common categories such as kingdom, phylum, division, class, order, family, genus, species. So these are the taxonomical categories. All all organisms include those in the plant and animal kingdom have species as the lowest category. Either you take a plant group and animal group, the lowest part is the species. So here, uh, let us discuss about species. Species is a word which is the in a taxonomical category it is the lowest one. When you take about definition of this, a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities, with fundamental similarities. So when you take a 3 to 4 organisms, if they exhibit the same characteristics, then they are said to be species. So a group of individuals, organisms with fundamental similarities. Fundamental similarities. Generally, it is um, so once again, listen. What is species? The definition: group of individual organisms which are having similar fundamental characteristics. So let us take by taking example: Mangifera indica, Solanum tuberosum, Panthera leon. All three names indica tuberosum represent the specific epithets. Specific epithets means here when you take about species names. So in Mangifera indica, Mangifera indica. In Solanum tuberosum. Panthera leo. These are the species. Indica, tuberosum, leo represent the specific epithets are species, while the first word is Mangifera, Solanum, Panthera are genera, means generic name. So represents another higher level of taxon or category. Each genus may have one or more than one specific epithets representing different organisms, but having morphological similarities. For example, Panthera genus has another specific epithet called tigris. Solanum have another specific is nigrum. Genus is species is nigrum, and Solanum have genus have another species Melangina. So human beings belongs to the species Sapiens, which is grouped into the genus is called Homo. So the scientific names thus for human being is written as Homo sapiens. So here, which is the species in this Homo sapiens means sapiens is the species, Homo is the genus. Next to go to the genus. Genus comprises a group of closely related species. It is termed as closely related in common comparison to species of other genera. So a group of related species means here a simple when we say that group of species together form genus. So when you take here example Solanum, Panthera, Panthera. So are all species of the genus belongs to Panthera. So when you take here Solanum tuberosum, Solanum nigrum, regarding to the plants. So Solanum nigrum is there, Solanum melangina is there, but here Solanum nigrum means nigrum and Solanum melangina. Melangina, nigrum both are belongs to same genus, that is Solanum. So in this way, all these species together form genus. When you take Panthera, Panthera pardus, Panthera tigris. Here tigris, pardus, leo, all these species belongs to only single genus, that is called Panthera. In this way, we can give that definition about genus. All these species together form a genus. So the genus differs from another genus. For example, cats belongs to another genus is Felis. So different genera are there, not same kind of genera. So that one kind of genera have variety kind of species, but the same kind of genera will not be present. Different kinds of genera are present or genus are present. This is you have to keep in your mind. And let us take after species and genus another one, family. Family is a group of related genera. Related genera with still have less number of similarities. Means here when we coming down up from species to family, the relationship, the similarities will be decreases. In among the species, their relations is more. Among the genuses, relations are just. But in families, among the organisms, similarities will be decreases. So families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of plant species. So mainly here in family, whatever plants, whatever genera, whatever species kept under means by the following vegetative and reproductive features. For example, Solanum, Petunia, Datura are placed in the family Solanaceae. Solanum, Petunia, and Datura are placed in the which family? Solanaceae. So because of all the genera have same characteristics. Solanum genus have Solanum genus, Petunia genus, Datura genus. All these three have the same characteristics. Hence they kept in a Solanaceae family. So when you take animals, Panthera, tiger, Panthera, Leo, Panthera. So when you take the same genus, when you take the Felis, cats, all the cats belongs to Felidae family. In this way, so the genus which have the same characteristics they kept in particular family. So they are separated into two different families like Felidae and Canidae respectively. Means dogs family and cats family separate. They kept. Next go to another taxonomical category, that is order. Order is formed by the number of families. So the families which have same characteristics they may kept in one particular order. Here when you take the Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae family and kept in a particular order Polymoniales. Polymoniales. Why? Because Convolvulaceae and Solanaceae both belongs to have the same floral characteristics. Because of having same floral characteristics they kept in only single order, it is Polymoniales. Next go to the class. Number of orders together form as a class. For example, Primata comprising the monkey, gorilla and gibbon is placed in a class Mammalia. So these are the orders, Primata, gorilla and other belongs. So here all these families kept in particular. For example, when you take plant, Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae, when you take these Polymoniales order, they kept in dicot class. So here, like this only, when you take the animals, carnivora, that includes animals like tiger, cat, dog, class mammalia as order also. So next, phylum. Phylum, which includes the number of uh, classes. Number of classes comprising phylum. When you take animals like Protozoa, Porifera, Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, all these are kept in particular phylums. Mainly we can see this phylum in animals only. Let us take the kingdom. It is most important. So all the regarding the plants, species, genus, order, families, all the group of plants particular comes under a kingdom is called plant kingdom. So means all above number of phylums together form, number of classes together form as a kingdom. So when we discuss about here the taxonomical hierarchy here, mainly if any organism, for example here when you take the Solanum nigrum or Solanum melangina brinjal, the species is Solanum is the species, uh, sorry, melangina. Melangina is the species, Solanum is the genus, Solanaceae is the family, and the order is Polymoniales is the order, class is the uh, when we take about dicots, and here when you take the kingdom and phylum, the plant kingdom, when you take the plant kingdom. So here division, sorry, class is the dicotyledon, division is the flowering plants, means what, angiosperm. So let us take example again, once again. When you take a plant, for example Solanum melangina, melangina is the species, Solanum is the genus, family is the Solanaceae, order is the so when we discuss about hierarchy of classification, the first when we go up from down to up, the first the lowest one is the species, lowest one is the species. And here so when you this when you see that this green yellow, sorry, this colored box here, species is there, species is the lowest word in the taxonomical categories. And here let us take the example Solanum melangina. Melangina is the species, Solanum is the genus, family is the Solanaceae, order is the Polymoniales, and class is the dicots, and division is the flowering plants, means angiosperms. So in this way each organism having the two, it has one species, genus, family, order, class, division, and kingdom. So when we going up, means ascending order from species to kingdom, the relationship will be decreases, relationship will be decreases. So here in species only a few organisms are there, so that relationship is be more. In genus, organisms number will be increases. Among the organisms, relationship will be decreases. In families, more number of genera are there, so that relations will be decreases. Order, relations will be decreases. Class, relation will be. So while we going up from species to kingdom, among the organisms, relations will be decreases. When we coming down means from kingdom to species. So more relationship we can see that among the species more relations we can see. So in this way it is we can study about the relationship also by the following these taxonomical categories and hierarchy. And so let us take a table which is described mainly taxonomical categories. Taxonomical categories and so the man scientific name Homo sapiens, biological name or scientific name Homo sapiens, in which genus is Homo, family is Hominidae, order is Primata, class is Mammalia, and phylum or division is Chordate. When you take housefly, the scientific name is Musa domestica, genus is Musca, Mysidae, Diphtheria, Insecta, Arthropoda. So mango, when you take Mangifera indica, Mangifera, family Anacardiaceae, and order is Sapindales, class is Dicotyledonnae, and phylum or division is Angiosperm. When you take the wheat scientific name Triticum aestivum, the genus is Triticum, family is Poaceae, and order is Poales, class is Monocotyledonnae, and division is Angiosperm. Now let us discuss about taxonomical aids. AIDS here means which is not a disease here. If AIDS means here instruments which we used for classification, nomenclature, the so to whenever if we want to classify, we want to give the name, we want to give the characterization, we have to follow some for identification we have to follow some instruments. Those are called taxonomical aids. The aids are the instruments which is used in taxonomical categories is called taxonomical aids. So here mainly biologists have established certain procedures, techniques to store the preserve the information about specimens. And for example here, when you take the identification of organisms require intensive laboratory and field studies. The collection of actual specimens of plants, animals, species is essential and is the prime source of taxonomical studies. So here if you want to identify any plant, so if you not be confused, either it is previous existed or not, so that when we have to store, have to keep in a particular instruments, either in a paper or in a glass bottle, in another methods we have to store whatever we identified for further studies. So these are useful for next identifying a new organism. So whatever we identified by seeing these again we can identify the new. So in this way these aids are useful for identification of new species. The first one taxonomical aid is herbarium. Herbarium is the oldest method taxonomical aid which is used in past more many members of scientists. Herbarium is nothing but a storehouse of collected plant specimens that are dried, pressed, and preserved on seeds. So here, herbarium is a book which consists a large sized seeds on which a plant specimen is attached, which is dried and pressed and preserved. So this is the most important one to identify new plants. By following these collected plant characteristics, we can identify easily new plants. These seeds are arranged. Seeds are arranged in a according to a universal accepted system is there. Uh, System accepted ICBN, what ICBN proposed. By following those the characteristics, they may arrange the herbarium. These specimens are, along with their descriptions on herbarium seeds, become a storehouse or a repository for future use. The herbarium seeds are also carry a label providing information about date of collection, place of collection, and names of the in English, local names, and scientific names, means botanical names, family, genus, who collected his name, and a total criteria which is mentioned in the uh, right side page in corner. All these like data collected and place of collection, English name, local name, scientific name, and family. All names will be should be present on the seats. Uh, right side corner. Let us take another taxonomical aid, which is botanical gardens. They are the naked example. When we go through that botanical gardens, innumerable of plants are there. By seeing these